Welcome back into Climbing the Summit podcast, where the ultimate summit is self-discovery, self-realization. I am your host, Danny Cobbin, and today we're going to talk a little bit about investment versus involvement. Investment versus involvement. And I'm reminded of a story of back in the day, I really wanted to get better at life. That's just what I had this desire to do. I felt like I was going down a rabbit hole. I felt like life wasn't going the way I needed it to go. And because of that, I start investing more of myself in the outcome of my personal development. Now, that sounds like it would be a great thing. It sounds like it would be fantastic. But what's interesting is the more invested I got into something, the more investment, the more of me I put into it, the more anxious I would get, the more frustrated, the more depressed, the more angry, the more I would feel these negative emotions. Thing that I didn't understand before was the difference between involvement and investment. See, when you're involved, right, you are in the game. You are paying attention to the things that are showing up. You are being present in the moment. And you might not have any weight at all on how that thing is going to go. So when it comes to my personal development game, now I'm very involved, but I'm not very invested. Right. And the reason why I'm involved is because I know that if I show up to what shows up, what's there to show up will show up too. And all of me is going to focus on that thing. And that leads me into thinking about my A game versus my B game. Right. And what's crazy is like your A game just has to be good enough to get you in the game. What does that mean? I love watching football on TV, but my good enough back in 9th, 10th grade was not good enough to continue to make it to the NFL. So my good enough there wasn't good enough. But if I can get in the game, I'm a yoga teacher. I love life coaching. I love climbing hikes. I love riding. I love doing these things. And you know what? My good enough is good enough to get me in those games. Now, the A game there's not much I could do about that. But that B game, no, the things that I could work on, the thing that made Kobe Bean Bryant amazing was that he put the time, energy, and effort into greatness. 500 shots a day in the same spot, 3 workouts a day before you even woke up one of them, right? He put in the time, attention, and effort to be great. And each and every one of us, each and every human being has the potential to put in the hard work and effort to be great at the thing that you love doing. Get involved. Get involved. But notice once you start switching from involvement to investment, because once you start to invest yourself, who you are, into what you think you need to become, you start to see the anger. You start to see the depression. You start to see you trying to control the situation. And it's not about controlling the situation. It's about getting a feel for the situation. Right? A lot of times we as human beings, we're trying to understand. We're trying to understand. Like, oh, okay, the best example I could think of right now is a joke. If you understand a joke, you laugh. You're not able to reproduce the joke. Oh, well, the cool thing about the joke is when Jesus walked into the bar, nah, man, you get a feel for a joke. That's how you understand it. You laugh at it. You get a feel for life. You get a feel for what it feels like to be invested. You get a feel for what it feels like to be involved. And then you just up your A game, or you just up your B game, and you allow your A game to stand for itself. The A game is when magic happens, right? I was watching the Olympics, watching Steph Curry. I know for a fact Steph Curry works on dribbling. He works on shots. He works on making weird shots that you wouldn't normally think to make. But that's because whenever he's in a game, he can rely on his B game. And when his A game shows up, it's that last 3 minutes of the gold medal round of the NBA basketball championship. He's going off. Everybody's like, what's he doing? And that's his A game showing up. And his B game, that tangible thing that you can rely on, that tangible thing that once it's going, and you can't stop it. That's the thing you and I could start to look to be empowered. If we really want to empower ourselves, we really want to be empowered to make the changes that we want to make in our lives, it's just those things, right? We just look at, are we getting a feel for what we're doing? Right? Are we being present? Are we in the moment? Or we have so much weight on what happens on the outcome of this that we've removed ourselves from the situation, and all we're looking at is, oh, I got to make that buck. Ooh, I got to make that sale. Ooh, I got to get better right there. And if you look at your own personal life, right? Because I don't want you to look at Danny's life. I don't want you to look at the stories. I don't want you to look. I want you to look at your own life. Look at the times where you were invested, and look and see how those times turned out. And then look and see how those times where you were involved, you were in the moment, you were engaged, you were there, and you were playing full out. Notice the difference between the two. Because what I've noticed in my own life is because if I'm involved, right? If I'm involved in a situation, it might turn out well, it might not turn out well, but I am present in the moment and I am able to make the shifts and adjustments that need to be made. But if I am invested, I have to have it turn out the right way. And if it doesn't turn out the right way, it might mean the end of whatever that is. And because of that, I'm playing it a little closer to the vest. And the last thing before we get out of here is the mentor, George Pransky, Dr. George Pransky. While he's talking about something like this, he used the scenario of a basketball player. If you got a basketball player and it's the last minutes of the last quarter and he's on the free throw line and he needs to make the next 2 shots, what do you want that guy thinking about? You want him thinking about his contract? You want him thinking about how much this means to the team, how much this means for his career? Or do you want him present and in the moment and aware of everything that he can be aware of while letting those things go? When we slow down and we start to think about what this operating system that we have as human beings and how it actually works is actually diabolically opposed, whatever, to how we actually work. And I don't think we got that information because people weren't trying to give us good information. They were trying to give us the best that they had. But you and I, we're adults now. We're here. We've been in this thing for long enough that we can take a look to see how things actually work so that when we go out in the world, we can begin to live our best lives ever. Or better yet, we can continue to live our best lives ever. Keep climbing towards your personal summit. Love you guys. We'll talk to you soon.